Hey buddies, welcome back. The idea for this game, eventually, when I tried to make something consistent, to end up with the remaining challenges and to make some endgame content and maybe some uber bosses, I was thinking about some kind of the combination of tankiness and damage, and suddenly I thought that what if I could mitigate all my damage with armor. It was the successful attempt. The main thing of this build is that we have around 100k armor, and we also mitigate elemental damage with armor, we mitigate physical damage with armor, and we even mitigate chaos damage with armor. And it's possible with the Juggernaut Ascendancy and with the fourth wall body armor. But I was trying to make different variations of this build, and we can live here without the fourth wall body armor and take the note on the tree, the mastery on the tree that has 10% of the armor, mitigates chaos damage from hits. We have double converted damage with Divine Flash, and 50% of our elemental damage at first is mitigated by elemental resistances, then it's mitigated with our Eternal Damnation Amulet, some Pantheon passives, and after that this half of damage is prevented by 8% of the armor, thanks to the Juggernaut Ascendancy. Then the other half of elemental damage is taken as chaos, and it's mitigated with the chaos resistance, and after that 100% of our armor protects these hits, and that's why we can't even die from elemental damage and chaos damage. The only thing that can kill us is big physical hits, and I think such big physical hits can be dealt only with some kind of Shaper or Uber Elder slams, if they crit, or with Uber Eater, I think. So there are not so many ways that we can die. But unfortunately, we have two disadvantages here. They are not crucial and they don't affect our gameplay, but I wish they could be better. The first one is our recovery. Maybe I would add some recoup here, because all of our region goes for the rage regeneration with the Count Spirit gloves. And yeah, we have some leech, but if we could have recoup, as we do not have the uncontinuous leech, the recoup would be a bit beneficial here. And the second one is we are very vulnerable to physical damage over time, but again, only two bosses have this thing, and the one is Uber Elder with the physical damage over time. So our main enemy with this build is Elder, the weakest boss in the game, but still Uber Elder fights and Elder fights are really playable. All in all, as you see, we are really tanky. These delirium fights, these invitations, and we can do simulacrums, I think even level 30, depending on the mods, because there are some bad mods with burning ground effects, which are very annoying. And also there are some bad mods for enfeeble, reduced regeneration, and we just don't have time to recover our life pool. But I think with some kind of recoup somewhere taken, we could easily farm level 30 simulacrums. That's well-rounded build for all kind of content, and when you grab all the gear and maximize your damage, you'll be able to make uber bosses. Here in the footage we do not even have the Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame, which are 1/4 of our damage, and the gear is not min-maxed, so I think we have 15 to 20 million damage here, and it still does everything. So let's get down to the guide itself. We're Juggernaut, undeniable accuracy, attack speed, unstoppable movement speed and action speed modifiers, unbreakable for our mitigation, and untiring, which helps really well with the recovery of the Berserk. Just see how we are not losing rage while berserking, and imagine if we are taking physical damage from hits, and yeah, we are always on full rage practically if we are hit with physical damage. Maybe you may say that Berserker would have much more damage. Yeah, Berserker would have much more damage, but this unbreakable Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame is the key, and it would cost too much for the efficiency that we would have from the Berserker, because we can have the Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame for Rite of the Ruin for tripling our rage effect. The main damage concept of the build that we use the Shield Crush, and we use the best ever shield for Shield Crush, the Emperor's Vigilance. It's very cheap, and it's our basic physical damage, and then we scale chaos damage from it, and we use 2 Ming's Heart with the physical and chaos damage catalysts, and we have lots and lots of chaos resistance and physical damage taken as extra chaos. We also have extra chaos on our boots, and all in all, it comes to a really high amount of damage. So let's go for the tree, and then we'll swap to the gear. We use the Divine Flash for transforming our incoming damage. It's all for the defensive purposes. The tree is very straightforward. We have some cluster jewels with Master of Fundamentals, Battle 100, Furious Assault for physical damage, and the main thing is Overwhelming Malice for Unholy Might on our Chaos Large cluster jewel, and beautiful Unholy Grace for chaos damage and attack speed is just really good. And also, as we are using Divine Flash, we want the Megalomaniac with Born of Chaos and some good another modifier. Here I was lucky to have them master the Fundamentals. At last, we grab all reservation efficiency nodes, because we use some auras. We use some shield nodes with physical damage, block chance, and critical strike multiplier per 10 maximum energy shield on the shield, as we are using the Seasoned Fury, and we have our crit, and Shield Crush crits really hard. We have a almost perfect roll when I get the 28% of quality on the shield with the Tainted Armor Scrap, and just crit nodes, life nodes, iron reflexes. For the jewel, we use Balance of Terror as we self-cast Despair. You may also have the Corruption on the Calm Spirit Gloves for Despair here, but all in all, you will need to cast Despair yourself. And some jewels for life, crit multi, resistances, stats, intelligence, dexterity, whatever you need, because we use a bunch of tattoos here for resistances to cap the resistances, and for +4 to all attributes, and it helps us with capping our stats that we need for dexterity for grace, and we need intelligence for our obliteration, because we use 2 sets of weapons here, and it's very interesting. So it's all for the tree. Also, we have 3 Jewel sockets, which we would like to swap for Rite of Ruin, Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame of the Berserker to have even much more damage. What's for the gear? As I've said, the Ming's Heart, our generic damage. We use Eternal Damnation for elemental damage reduction, is half our chaos resistance, and we have 78 chaos resistance here, but in our end POB we have 82, and it results in 40% elemental damage reduction on top of our armor, on top of our elemental resistances, and etc. It's not mandatory. You can just swap Eternal Damnation if you want a bit more damage for juicy rare Amulet with crit, multi, attack speed, and other modifiers, and allocate there the Anointment of Whispers of Doom. Emperor's Vigilance for the shield, for our main skill. Pretty basic boots with Brittle Ground to have our crit chance kept. The other modifier is physical as extra chaos, and pretty basic stats with cold, lightning, fire resistance, life, movement speed, and etc. Calm Spirit for our rage regeneration. We have some basic regeneration here on the tree, and of course from the Immortal Flesh we have huge life regeneration rate, and here I have this belt without catalysts. With the catalysts we'll have it even more. You can use the just basic Stygian Wise if you have problems with resistances and some stats, but whatever. It's this build is very agile. As I've said, the dual iron diadem for our auras, but we can use abyssus, and we drop one of our auras. And the main problem is that we have lack of our sockets. So I didn't even think how to implement here the Herald of Purity, because we have no spare sockets here, but it's the problem that can be solved no matter. For our main boss killing setup, we have the Dark Seer in the right hand for gaining power charge on crit, and it gives us some life and increased global damage. But for the endgame version, we would like to have or rare sword, the rapier, or the replica paradoxica, and it's the best in-slot weapon for this kind of build. And in the second set of our weapons, we have the obliteration, again with chance to gain power charge on critical strike, and it gives us the explosions. That's why you've seen the juicy explosions. We just swap weapons for the obliteration while mapping, and when we come to boss, we press button, and here we have another set with which we kill the boss. And in the main weapon we have the multiple totems, ancestor protector, ancestor war chief, and we do not have it here because we cannot use these weapons with the wand, but we don't need the totems while mapping, we want speed. For the links, again, custom that bottle, but we do not even need them, so maybe here we can take the Herald of Purity here. Berserk, of course, because we have infinite rage, multiple totems, ancestor protector, ancestor war chief, precision, blood rage, flame dash, blood and sand. So the first 2 hours are precision and blood and sand. Also we have purity of elements, enlightened determination, grace in the divine diadem, and for our curses we have mark on hit, assassin's mark, despair, and molten shell for our movement button. For some mitigation, because we have lots of armor and we use lion's roar, the silver flask, the basalt flask for even more armor, and the diamond flask for keeping our critical strike chance, and just the divine flask with immunity for bleeding and corrupted blood. And as you see, unbuffed, we have 53,000 armor. I think that's all. Just remember that the key is armor here. And the very interesting thing is the loyalty tattoo of Akoya, and it gives us rage regeneration when we are facing the unique enemy and get our rage regenerated till the maximum. It's very efficient way to sustain rage even more effective. Just don't forget that we have 2 sets of weapons, one for mapping and then just swapping for the boss killing set. And remember that armor is the key and it protects us. And what I wanted to say about the min-maxed version, there are different variations. As you can see, we can use abyssus for even more damage, but we need to get rid of one of the errors. The second variation is we can use, instead of the 4th woe, we can just swap for belly of the beast, and when we get the belly of the beast, we just need to take it. We have even more life pool, and then we grab these 2 nodes instead some of others and take 10% armor is increasing. Our chaos damage taken from hits is one of the variations if you do not want to use the min-max defenses that are used with the 4th woe. We also can use Skin of the Lords, even more armor here. That's pretty insane, and we can get rid of the iron reflexes. Also, we would like to use the tattoo here for +1 to maximum frenzy charges, because we would like to have the anomalous blood rage to get our frenzy charge sustained here. So it's all up to you, it's all for your imagination. Just try, and this basic skeleton can give you the idea of what we can do and how we can mitigate damage and still doing some great job. And here we have the Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh, and as you see in the previous variation I didn't have it and I lose lots of damage, and in that variant we have only maybe 20 million, and it's still enough for doing pretty much all the content, and with it you can even go for uber bosses. Just avoid physical damage over time. So like, subscribe, leave your comments in the commentary section, and see you next time.